Greetings, I'm Kathy with Christian News and Interviews. So let's start at the end, or at least it's temporarily the end. It's the present end. And I say that because there may be some other things that will happen, but for now, this is the last thing that has happened in this situation with comedian MoNique and the DL Hughley and family. DL Hughley's daughter, the oldest daughter, has responded to MoNique's attacks on their family. She goes by Brown Sugar and Bourbon on Instagram, and this is what she says to MoNique. Hi, I'm Ryan, Nicole Shepherd, DL Hughley and LaDonna Hughley's eldest daughter. You've now publicly disrespected my mother, who I love and care for very much, and my baby sister, who I love and care for very much, to get back at my father, who I love and respect and care for very much. At this point, I feel like you are asking my family and myself to act out of character. Out of all the things you could have legitimately said about my dad, if that's the route you wanted to take, you chose to be deliberately mean and hurtful to two Black women who have done nothing who has nothing to do with this conversation. Using my mama and my sister to show people my father's character only shows how little mental stability, dignity, morality, and respect you have, not only for yourself, but other Black women. You're clearly 2 crayons short of a full boxes. You're disgusting, and you absolutely need to keep every single member of my family's name out of your poisonous mouth. Not because you can do us harm, you can't, but because you are adding to the historical and systematic disrespect and trauma of other Black women who you claim to love. And for what? A check? You're bringing up trauma for a concert lineup discrepancy? All you've done is proven that you have no moral compass. Nothing is too far in your quest to prove a point. And I'm blessed that my parents raised children who have no idea how you could possibly go there. We Hughleys are going to have a good ASS day and a blessed life. We are healed, we are whole, and we love each other fiercely and deeply. You can continue to live in that scorched earth kingdom of yours. Get some help, ma'am, for real. Oh, and if you want to have this conversation in person, I'll happily give you my address. So that was the latest in a whole series of issues with MoNique, who's up and down, up and down, up and down in her moods. The only other people I know of who are up and down in their moods like that are people who suffer from manic depression. I'm not saying that she suffers from manic depression because I have no way of knowing that, but I'm just saying that the only people I know of who go up and down and into these manic phases where for days and weeks, they're just up and manic and doing crazy things and it can't be talked down. The only people I've ever met like that are people who suffer from bipolar disorder. Again, I am not saying that she suffers from bipolar disorder. I'm simply saying that those are the only people I've met like this, who go off for days and weeks at a time. And then they finally land, and when they land, they're usually depressed. I don't know what's going on with Miss MoNique, but I do know that it's very offensive for someone to hurt you, to hurt your family, to say degrading things about you and your family, and then say that they're doing it in the name of love, and to use endearing terms like my babies, my sweethearts, my sugars. Spare me. So I'll give you a little history on MoNique. MoNique is a comedian from Baltimore. She's had some success on stage. She's been in several, she had her own TV show for a while. She also had her own talk show for a while. She won an Oscar for a movie that I've never seen called Precious. But it was a movie, from what I read, that showed Black women in the worst possible light. It shows Black women as very depraved people. And because of that, I refuse to go and see it. No thanks. But that's how she won her Oscar. There came a point where she got into it with Oprah and a host of others because they wanted her to go all over the world, pretty much, to Europe, etc. And basically speak up on behalf of the movie that the one that she ended up winning an Oscar for, Precious. And she said she only earned, I think she said $50,000 for doing Precious, and therefore she didn't feel like she wanted to go all over the world promoting it, because she would have been doing it for free. And actually, in that case, many people agreed with her. It was like, you know what? They were in a financial position to pay you a little bit more, so they should have. And so a lot of people, myself included, saw her point there. Then there came a point in which she basically was blackballed. And she was blackballed for years. Now, during this blackballing, she ended up with a residency in Las Vegas. She doesn't talk about the residency anymore. Listen to this. MoNique, first Black comedian to have a Las Vegas residency. This was January of 2019. I'm not sure when the residency ended, but I would think that if the residency were successful, that she'd be bragging about it, since she's the first Black comedian to have such a residency. No one ever wrote about it or talked about it, including her. And she's a braggadocious type. So if she's the first Black comedian to have a Los Angeles residency, and she is, according to this headline, why did she never come back and say to us, yes, I was standing room only. I had this residency. It was such a success. She never came back to give an update. So I have to wonder, did she fill up the seats there? And I ask about the filling up the seats because at one point, or at some point during her time of being blackballed, she was out there trying to sue Netflix because she felt like they should have paid her millions for a stand-up routine. They were willing to pay her $500,000, but keep in mind that Netflix will pay you according to how many people you can pull. She recently was at a venue in Detroit, and from what I've been told, she and DL Hughley together only filled up half the seats there. All that's important when it comes to earning money. I've collected information, not purposely, but just through osmosis over the years. And I've heard her say that she's not on speaking terms with her mother. Her father is deceased, but when he was alive, she wasn't on speaking terms with him. I don't know whether or not she even showed up for his funeral. I hope she did. She's not on speaking terms with her sister. Keep account. Not speaking to her mother. Wasn't speaking to her father at the time of his death. She does not speak to her sister. She's on the outs with all of them. She has a brother that she says molested her, and I do believe it. Molested her when she was a child. She's not on speaking terms with him, which I understand. She has another brother who was at one point her manager. She's not on speaking terms with him. Well, let me take that back. I'm not sure about the second brother, but I do know that she mentioned that she fired him as her manager. So her immediate family, she's not on speaking terms with. That in and of itself should tell you that if she's not on speaking terms with the lady that brought her into this world, if she's not in speaking terms with her sister, any of her brothers, who stands a chance with this woman? Does anyone stand a chance? When you're not on speaking terms with the closest people in your life, the people who have known you since you were a baby, the woman who carried you in her womb for 9 months, if you're not on speaking terms with any of those individuals, does anyone stand a chance? Now, in her latest bust up, she got into it with DL Hughley. And I mean, she walked across that stage and acted a fool. If you haven't seen it, just look it up. It's on YouTube. She acted a fool. And it's causing me to wonder, will she again be blackballed? And look at a situation that happened back in 2017, where she said such horrible things about Lee Daniels, who has since made up with her, Oprah Winfrey, and Tyler Perry.
What is that black dick connected to? That black man? So no, I was not black gold. I was white gold. By some black dicks who had no balls. Thank you, Mr. Lee Daniels. Thank you, Miss Oprah Winfrey. No, baby, I wasn't blackballed. I was fucked up by some niggas who had no balls. And see, I know they like to say, MoNique, you talk too motherfucking much. It would kill me not to say the real shit. It would kill me not to say the real shit. You are not paying me equally. You are not treating me fairly. So y'all can suck my dick if I had one.
Okay. So that's a bust up she had back in 2017. She was still angry at Oprah and Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels because she felt like they wanted her to work pretty much for free. And that's the situation where a lot of people agreed with her, even though they didn't agree with her getting up on stage and saying filthy things about these people. Okay. I want you to listen to this. This is MoNique in an interview back in 2010, where she was being interviewed. As I mentioned, MoNique was molested by one of her brothers when she was a child. And listen to what she says in this interview. Just to give you a little bit of background. The road to the Golden Globe Awards was indeed a bumpy one for MoNique, who claimed in 2008 that she was sexually abused by an older brother when she was just 7 years old. The comedian told Essence magazine that while growing up in Baltimore, her brother molested her 4 times over 4 years, once using candy to lure her into a bathroom. Even when I confronted him and told my parents, he said I was lying. And nothing was really done, she said. My father was very upset, but it never got mentioned again. I'll never forget my mother saying, if it's true, it will surface again. And I remember thinking, why would I lie? Why is there even an if in this? I was angry with them for so long because I felt as if they should have seen what was happening. And I would go as far as to say that MoNique, rightfully so, is still angry. But see, that's why you go into counseling. And I'm not saying that she's not in counseling, but I'm saying that the counseling has not worked. This woman is enraged with anger. Ultimately, she said she didn't hold her parents responsible. Okay, so if she's saying she doesn't hold her parents responsible, I don't believe she's being honest. Quote, because me and my brother were both their children, and I just don't know the kind of position they felt they were in. MoNique has said she was able to use her childhood experience when she accepted the role of a lifetime playing the abusive mother in the film Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire. Now, this is what I want you all to hear because it is very important. Quote, my brother was a monster to me, she told Essence. I became my brother. I became my brother. Did you all hear that? My brother was a monster to me. I became my brother. When Director Lee Daniels would say, action. This woman went through hell. And I would go as far as to say that she is still, every time something sets her off, she's still becoming her brother. Stay tuned.